Hi, today we're just going to look at another quotation from Macbeth. It's not like a lot of texts where you can just maybe learn one quotation. I think you need to go with a few prepared, maybe three or four, um, depending on which theme or which bit comes up. So today we're going to look at the very, very famous "Look at the innocent flower." Sorry, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under. From Lady Macbeth, she says it to Macbeth. Act 1, Scene 5, and it's linked with that idea of deception and things not being as they seem in this play.
Okay, so the first thing to be aware of is the way in which Shakespeare has Lady Macbeth use imperatives. This is sort of those words, those bossy words, and this shows that she's in charge and adopting the dominant role within their relationship at this point. So this is early on in the play, this is Act 1, and she is absolutely happy to be issuing him with instructions, and she does do that regularly throughout the first part of the play. This is subverting the expectations of Jacobean women. So a Jacobean woman is supposed to be meek and mild and sort of quiet and submissive, and those qualities would have been admired in women. So it's unexpected that she is directing her husband in how to behave, and this makes her quite a transgressive sort of woman, and this is quite a transgressive marriage.
Okay, so the first half of the quotation is "look like the innocent flower." So obviously it's a simile, and it just suggests that she wants him to appear innocent. Um, she doesn't want him to be innocent. She just wants him to be visually appealing, no threat to others, to pretend to be something he's not, to hide his true intentions and possibly his true character. We've seen right from Act 1, Scene 1 that he's this violent, aggressive man. What Macbeth is good at is killing, and she's saying, well, for now, let's try and hide that side of yourself. Try and look a bit more likable. It also perhaps is a sort of reference back to the milk, which we discussed in Act 1, Scene 5, as flowers are often things we associate with women, so it's feminising him again, and suggesting that side of him.
And that's really effective because he's this brave soldier, isn't he? And he doesn't want to be compared to a woman. That's absolutely...
He's the archetypal masculine figure at the start. I think the idea of the flowers on this bit, it's notable that when Duncan first sees the castle, he refers to the pleasant air that they've created, which gives us, again, it's this idea of the flowers creating the pleasant smell, which might be deceiving. He says, "This castle has a pleasant seat. The air nimbly and sweetly recommends itself unto our gentle senses." And then Banquo actually agrees as well. And he says, "The air is delicate. The heaven's breath smells wooingly here." So that it's almost like they are able to affect the other senses with this false act that they're putting on.
And particularly the smell, because that's associated with flowers. And it's just that reminder that in this play, things that look nice aren't always nice, and then obviously that always is linked back to the witches establishing that idea that fair is foul and foul is fair. So sometimes things that look fair are foul, and for Duncan in this case the castle looks fair, but actually it's foul, and what she's asking him to do is look fair but be foul. Okay, so then we've got this metaphor, this zoomorphic metaphor of be the serpent. So there's quite a lot on the serpent, I think. So yeah, it's a zoomorphic metaphor, but snakes are animals that we really associate with sort of slyness, sinister qualities, and potentially sort of venomous and dangerous things. So she's asking him to look nice, but actually be this sort of sinister, sly, poisonous thing. They're also ambush predators, so they sort of wait and then they'll strike, and often the prey won't kind of know what's happened or what hit it, and that's exactly how Macbeth ambushes Duncan. He's not seeing this betrayal coming at all, and that's partly because Duncan's quite naive, but also partly because the way in which they choose to sort of commit the regicide. Lady Macbeth is attempting to make her husband have these qualities, but actually they're the qualities that she's she's showing so far. So being cunning, being powerful, being decisive. That's the way she's behaving, particularly in Act 1 in the play. And then the snake, it's 2 fangs. It's a little one, it's a little cheeky one, but it's got 2 fangs, and actually Duncan is killed with 2 daggers of the 2 guards, so maybe it's a subtle little link to that as well.
Okay, obviously the serpent is in the first book of the Bible, Genesis, and it's clearly a biblical reference. The Bible was, and religion obviously was really, really important at this time. King James actually commissioned the Bible to be rewritten in 1604 because there was he wanted it to make it more aligned with the Protestant beliefs. So people were very, very aware of the stories of the Bible, and the serpent, of course, is aligned with Satan throughout. He's in the Garden of Eden. He is sent to trick Eve into eating from the tree of knowledge. And that leads to the downfall of man, to get kicked out of paradise. This is obviously directly aligned to the action that Macbeth's going to take. He's going to fall to temptation and inevitably be punished for it. I'm just waiting for the next bullet point. Just sort of going on that. The act did not only give them additional knowledge, but it gives them the ability to conjure negative and destructive concepts such as shame and evil. Lady Macbeth here is asking Macbeth to embody a snake and in turn bring evil to the world, and they know that the act that they're doing is evil. We've talked before about Duncan. Not only were all kings seen as God's representative on earth, but Duncan is quite often hyperbolized as this supremely good, benevolent, kind man. So it's very, very clear that what they're doing is an evil act, and I don't think that there's any doubt about that for the audience or for the characters. And finally, the snake was punished, and that could foreshadow the fact that Macbeth and Lady Macbeth will be punished if they decide to act like the serpent, and probably that they should know better, that by undertaking this definitely evil act, if they follow the Bible, if they believe what happens in the Bible, then they should know they will be punished. And this obviously links to what was going on in society at the time, where people were acting against the king.
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it? So King James is aware of regicide as a sort of potential victim of the gunpowder plot, and so I think this is really relevant, that idea that if you were to commit that act of regicide, you will be punished, and they are both punished massively. And then finally, a little bit of a tricky point. So in this play, when they look at the words that are commonly used, there's lots of words that you see frequently. So like the word blood, the word thane. Well, we would expect to see those words. This is a bloody play, isn't it? But the other word that features more often than in other Shakespeare plays is the definite article. So it's the word the, which is a strange thing. But actually what I think it is it's trying to make it so that we're sort of part of this secret. We watch Macbeth and Lady Macbeth plot to commit this awful act, and because we sort of witness it, it's like we're part of it. So instead of saying look like an innocent flower and be a serpent under it, that it's like they're referring to something specific, and that we're sort of part of that. We're aware of this plot, and therefore we're almost sinners because of it. A little bit of a complex idea, but definitely something there, that we sort of understand what they're referring to. We know the specific snake or the specific serpent that he's supposed to be like. And then finally, the preposition under. If you wrote under it in exam, that wouldn't be a problem. It implies that there is evil underneath their behaviour, and then possibly foreshadows that they will end up underneath us in hell.
Certain right.